Yo, good morning. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today on this fine July 2nd, hotter than heck day? How's everybody doing? All my beautiful ladies in here. So obviously we are going to touch base on this PI with in the Dylan Rounds case, and my title is his little threat at the end to the Cooley Rounds. Mind you, this is the mother of a missing her son is missing. So not only is she dealing with, the stress and the heartbreak of her son missing, she's also having to deal with this PI who continuously bashes her, her family, her son, her entire everything. He doesn't know when to stop. And it's really sad. So anyways, we're going to touch on that for a little bit. I definitely feel like there needs to be some attention brought to it. He was served with a cease and desist, and he responded. We're going to talk about his response to the cease and desist. But first, let's play that intro, y'all.
I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Okay, so have you guys seen, does everyone's aware of the channel? It's Doug's channel. It's called No Thanks Investigates, and this is his original channel, and he also made another channel for him and Jim the PI to share as well. So he's got two channels, and I want to make sure to give credit where credit is due. This is, him and Jim is on his channel responding. You will hear Doug in the background laughing and saying things as well. I just want to make sure again that I give credit where credit is due. This is Doug's No Thanks. This is his stream, and Jim the PI is responding to the cease and desist, which I will put up right now so you guys can see a copy. Let me go see if I can screenshot it so it's a little closer up. Give me 1 minute. Also, the link is pinned for anybody that wants to come up and chit chat or keep me busy or chat while I keep busy. And I'm sorry, Murray, I don't know what's going on with your messenger. I was trying to wait for you to wakey before I came on here, but I noticed you didn't say anything. So I was like, oh man, maybe she's still sleeping. I just thought maybe you had a late night, and with everything going on with the whole Jody Sue stuff, I just figured, you had stayed up late. Yeah, I see you, Kiki. I see you in here, girl. Pickle lover Gladys. Hey, girl. Now, Gladys is one of my favorites. People better stay off of her. I've about had enough. Peppermint Schmoka. Kate does crime. I see you, girl. Now, like I said, I figured Kay would pick up on this case because this man is something else. Let me go see if I can get a screenshot closer up of the cease and desist so you guys can actually read it. Give me 1 second. That way you guys can screenshot it too as well if you need to. Okay, I broke it down into 3 parts. So I will put the first ones up and then you guys can check them out and screenshot them if you need to, if you haven't seen them yet. I did post them on the community tab. So give me 1 second and I'll put it up here now. Okay, here's the top part. Obviously, it tells, Swafford Law, PC. Okay, so here's the top part of it, right? Here's the middle part here. So if you guys need me to read it out, I can. It's up to you guys, though. You can screenshot it and read it yourself. But they're basically saying, please stop speaking on their son and saying, spreading misinformation and things like that, So if you need to, if you want to screenshot it and read it yourself, you can. I'll leave it up for a little bit. Otherwise, I can read it as well. Like I said, I broke the cease and desist down in 3 parts. It is also pinned on my community tab as well. And whoever just sent that PayPal, thank you very much. It just went off. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. It was really sweet. So let's see here. Okay, I seen somebody said you need for me to read this to you. Okay, let me read this out then real fast here. Okay, so it says, Dear Mr. Terry, my office has been retained by the Rounds and Cooley families to send this letter to you and demand that you immediately cease and desist your continued non-authorized involvement in the Dylan Rounds case. You have made malicious, unfounded, and incorrect statements and have made verbal and written attacks on the Rounds and Cooley families. Your continued unauthorized, malicious, false, and inflammatory statements are defamatory and subject and subject you to payment of damages to my clients. Your actions are diverting the focus from finding Dylan Rounds to what appears to be your own personal vendetta and or to promote yourself at the expense of the truth. You are interfering with an you are interfering and undermining the investigation of Dylan Round's disappearance. You are damaging the integrity and effectiveness. Can y'all still hear me okay? I just want to make sure you guys can hear me while I'm reading this. The family of Dylan Rounds immediately demands you cease and desist with any further actions, verbal and or written, pertaining to the investigation of Dylan Rounds' disappearance. Your failure to stop all further action, verbal and or written, will result in the filing of legal action against you. The family of the Dylan Rounds do not want to waste their time, resources, and energy with any further action against you in this matter, and therefore request your immediate compliance. Your background and record of services has confirmed your lack of credibility and integrity. This has further been demonstrated by your actions in this matter since your release from this matter. So that is the cease and desist, and this is his response to that. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna even play the video, but I will. Let me see. I will play it so you guys can hear it, but I'm not gonna put it on. I will put the pictures up that he shows because he actually makes his own handwritten notes to go with his little speech that he made as well. So give me a second and I will play that for you guys right now. Oh, he definitely has a lot to say. And I cannot believe that he made his own little handwritten notes to go with his terrible, awful speech that he made. And like I said, keep in mind, this family is dealing with their, son, grandson, nephew. This is real life to them, and this is their child. For him to get up here and say the things that he said, make the accusations that he's made, basically try to shame this family, humiliate them, taunt them. I really, really hope that people consider what he's done with this case before they, you know, hire him or think that he's going to help with any other case. Because if this is how he acts with this case, can you imagine how he'll act with other cases? I think this is ready. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and play this. This is his response, and he tells you he's on Doug's channel, Doug with no thanks. So I just, like I said, I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. This is his channel, and this is his response. So
we joke around a lot on this show. And if you just give me a few minutes here, Doug, we joke around a lot here on this show. And I've really thought a lot about this since I started getting phone calls and text messages. You know, you get into an industry and you're trying to help people.
And so he goes on and on and on with this little terrible speech.
That you believe are in need. You try as hard as you can. Some people just don't get your personality. Some people don't understand who you are.
Well,
and
no, Jim, no.
When I first took this case, I had the best intentions.
When he first took this case. I know
there's a lot of people out there that don't like me. I know there's a lot of people out there that support me because I see them in the chat room. And I've gotten their text message.
So yeah, he goes on with this little speech that he gives, and it just it almost just makes me sick, the whole thing. Listen, just keep listening because it's awful.
My number's available. But this has gone far enough.
Yeah.
So I think what I'll do is I will respond.
And so here he is responding.
And I've talked with my pastor, my rabbi. I've spoken with my parents. And even some people that have worked with me in the past, families I've helped, and I've said, listen, I need a consensus here.
Yeah, here he goes.
What should I do?
So
what should I tell these people? How should I do this? And they said, Jim, be yourself.
Be yourself. Okay, well.
Let people see who you really are. Don't joke around. Don't take anything for
granted. I'm glad you're showing us who you really are.
You're probably going to have to be who you are.
I'm really glad.
So that's why I've decided, even though I've never been served with any paperwork,
So he says he's never been served with any paperwork.
I can have the entire screen.
Okay, he's never been served with any paperwork. Mind you, the cease and desist went out yesterday, and he was well aware of it because when he first went on Doug's channel, he came on with a mask, acting a whole donkey's ass.
A show that's always let me be myself.
Yeah.
To tell that law firm, Candace Cooley, and whoever else thinks that I am a fraud.
The mother of a missing boy.
No legitimate background.
This is his message. This is his response.
I have for 1 minute lied about any of the things I believed in my investigation to be true. So,
yeah.
The only way I know how to be me, and the only way I know how to answer that email in this unprofessional, extremely crude environment that we're in right now, this
that he's made it.
Unlawful environment, is to answer it the only way I know how, and the only way the people out there know I would answer. The people that know know what's in my heart.
Yeah.
So those to any news affiliate out there that thinks that I'm a fraud, that does not have the
This is to any news
does not have
affiliate
the
or
background of my full career at
really.
their disposal. So without further ado,
Yeah, here he goes. He's trying to be cute.
my statement is pretty simple. Be yourself, right?
It's funny as hell to them.
Hey, listen, hold on. I got it here, right here, just in case you didn't see that or that was too small. Let me say it a little louder in cursive. For all of you, those that are like,
here's his
45 years
cursive.
older, fuck you. Fuck you.
Women make different colors.
That, here it is in purple and red that I wrote myself on my drive-in. Fuck you. And let me tell you why it's fuck you.
Oh, that's the one he made himself with the purple and the red.
Box and a wife named Twinkie thinks they're gonna threaten a guy.
Yeah,
Who
so
has seen more than you ever have, who has been more successful than you've ever been. I don't need a.
So he claims to be more successful than this family has ever been. Mind you, he's talking to an attorney and Candace Cooley, who is Dylan's mother, and this is his response. This is his response to them sending a cease and desist. Oh, right. I know Granny's watching. Yeah. Oh, yeah. His business is going to flourish. People are going to they're going to run to hire him, especially after he pulled this. I mean, it's bad enough that he did what he did. But this response right here, it's sickening. Oh, he's not done yet. He still has to continue making an ass of himself. Hold on, let's finish.
A PO box to be a private investigator. So you take your chance, Candace Cooley, and you roll the dice. Because the only thing that you've shown in this entire investigation.
Oh, wow, here he goes.
Is that you can't stand being wrong. That you can't stand somebody exposing you.
Exposing her, the mother of a missing boy.
Your failed marriages, your terrible, absolutely disgusting record as a mother.
Wow.
Now your
wow.
which you recently retained, which I was told you've had for quite some time, because of your other legal endeavors
that have nothing to do with him.
With two lips. And if they were a law firm of any ilk, they wouldn't be sending a letter to my father's business that I used as a mailing address.
He uses as a listed mailing address.
Investigating license in Mississippi.
He used that as his listed mailing address. But now he wants to get mad when people send stuff to that address. Well, that's the address that you use. This is disgusting. It's awful.
So I don't know where you're sending letters, dickheads.
But he got it.
Your father's business, which is not my address, supposedly, according to these media outlets.
It went straight to hostess.
Yeah.
Not only will I not keep my mouth shut, because if I did that, I would be admitting that what I believe is wrong. We've had way too many
unfucking believable.
Way too many people on this program, Ty Corbin, Ellen Berg, and the countless other people that I've talked to without having even been there, that knows which way the wind blows.
Oh, wow.
So you roll the dice.
Oh, here he goes with his threat. Here he goes.
Law firm, coolies, roundses, don't hunt what you can't kill. Okay? Don't hunt what you can't kill. I'll be around.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's his little threat. That was his response to the cease and desist. So what y'all think about that? I'm going to need some opinions, y'all. What y'all think about that? Oh, girl, it's got me fucking pissed. I cannot believe he spoke to... I can't believe he even spoke that way to this family. Jim, okay, so you're arguing with the citizen says Jim's record of fraud, scamming, and criminal activity goes back decades. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, voice for the voiceless. He is a He is a sleaze. I heard he stood you up the other day. He was supposed to come on your channel and he didn't come on your channel. Something like that. Yeah, he is pure trash. Straight garbage. The link is pinned. Anybody's welcome to come up. Yeah, and like I said, I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. This is his channel. This is him and Doug at No Thanks. I will actually go get the channel link and pin that. The live was taken down last night. I believe it was edited and then put back up. I'm not sure though, but I will go get it so you guys can watch the entire stream, because he actually came on the stream. And then there's another thing he tried to pull yesterday. He kept trying to. He wore a mask and glasses, and he kept trying to get closer and closer and closer to his laptop. And if you look in the reflection of his glasses, you can see there's a woman standing there in a dress or in something. And it looks like he's trying to either dox this person or he's trying to show the reflection in his glasses like a skis, like a sleaze ball. What's up?
Hey,
Are you up
love.
here? Okay, I just
I
wanted to
think
make sure
so.
you were up here.
Hey, love. I just wanted to tell you that, I've had a working relationship in the missing persons world for about 5 years with Jim. I've known him
Oh,
a
you
good
have
number.
history with him then.
Yes, yes.
Oh, wow. Girl,
Um,
no.
we have. I will tell you right now, this has caused a big issue in our professional working relationship, because I am really big on not um exploiting the families of missing. I know everybody out here has some type of a feeling about me, but in my professional life, working with the families of missing people, I mean, I follow everything to the T. I am extremely diligent. I'm extremely professional, and I will tell you that this has caused a big issue with Jim and I. A big issue, because I don't agree with what he's doing. I also don't agree. I mean, when a family of a missing person says they no longer want you to help, you need to stop. You need to lay hands off, and you need to pay attention to what they're saying, because these families of these missing people, they have what's called victims' rights, and they're protected. And the minute that they feel like their rights are violated, that puts you in the wrong. So, yeah, this is not. I actually, we had a fight this morning on the phone, and he hung up on me. So there's that.
Yeah, girl. What he did what he's been doing is awful. What he did
Yeah.
last night was that was it. That was it.
Well, see, he called me and he's like, "Hey, you're gonna need to go listen to my response through my attorney." And I'm like, "What are you doing, dude? Why are attorneys getting involved in this? This is a missing persons case. There is no reason that anybody needs to have an attorney involved unless it's a family of a missing person." I always recommend families that have missing always retain legal counsel. You're going to need it to push on law enforcement. You're going to need it to push on the public. They need to have that. And they're also going to need it to protect themselves. So the minute that you cross that line and the family says, "No, we no longer want you in there," you've got to lay your hands off. You've got to. So it's not good. It's not healthy. This family is already dealing with their child that's missing, their adult child that's missing. And now they've had to go out and get a cease and desist because somebody wants to run their gator on the internet. It's not cool.
He's went on and on, on and on and on and on about.
You're cutting up, Queen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think she's trying to fix her audio issue. I'll just sit here and hold space for her. Please don't throw tomatoes at me. Um, I will say that I worked with James on the Rebecca Brassati case, and he was able to find out quite a bit of information that's been able to help Rebecca's parents, Angela and Jerry, keep following the steps. She was a missing person out of Superior, Montana. She went missing last July 20th, and her body just recently was found in the Clarks Fork of the Yellowstone River, about 3 miles from her estranged husband's residence. So, after 10 or 12 months, her dog was found right after, within just a few days of her disappearance. The dog was found 10 miles downriver and was severely waterlogged. But then Rebecca's body was found by a fisherman, and we've actually interviewed him. And for somebody's body that was in the river as many months as it was, she was in an extremely good condition. So, and James did do some amazing things in that case. You guys, Jim is not a little guy. Jim is 6'3", 243 pounds. He's a big guy. He's not a little guy. I know that everybody. Oh, Queen's phone died. She'll be right back. Okay, well, I'll continue to hold space for her. Yeah, he's not a little guy. He's a big guy. But you got to remember, he's a ball player. He's been in sports his entire life. Um, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not trying to cut excuses for him, but that's one of his mindsets. Is that he is a. Well, that's true. I know it's not just about being a little. It's not about height. Um, you have to think of him in like the coaching aspect. When you small bean, maybe his legendary football career. Well, I mean, it is arena football. I mean, it's played indoors, inside. So, oh, you're kidding me? That quits and yells at kids for losing a game. See, I haven't followed him on that part of it. I haven't followed any part of that aspect. I just deal with him when he. Okay, you're a work in progress. Here's the question for the caller. So you work with a guy, right? People pay this guy and he doesn't leave his home. He gets the family to do the work he's hired to do. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to say that um, there's a lot of people that you can do a lot of the research on this, just not by leaving your home. Um, I will admit, James is like a repo man. Oh, okay. Okay, Granny. Good. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that one. I would have to, God, now you're going to make me go dig into him, and I'm going to be scorning James in a minute. Um, I mean, that can be. I'm going to tell you that in my past, when I've worked with him, James is like a repo man. You give him a list of questions and a list of things that you want answered, he'll go out and find you the answers to them. Now, does that mean that it works in every case? No. I'm also not here to defend his style. Everybody does their thing differently. Um, I was speaking on my own personal experience with him. I've never seen him cause this much hate and consternation in a case before. I'm sorry. I haven't. So everybody views that differently. I know that he is good at what he does. He gets answers. Now, could it be done with tact and class and in a not so abrasive way? Absolutely. Rutting Fox, that's absolutely, I can tell you a few women that have said that about him. Like I said, I've known him a number of years. No, okay. His PI license is out of Biloxi, Mississippi. It's out of Biloxi, Mississippi. You have to understand, there are 7 states in the Union: Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Mississippi, and there's one other one that do not require a PI license to work in their state. Okay. So what you need to have is a business license in one of those states, and that's all they require a PI to have, is a business license. So his business license is out of Biloxi, Mississippi.
Thank you for holding it down, girl. My fucking phone dies. It ain't my. Now look, it ain't a good StreamYard if my phone don't go dead at least twice.
Well, hey.
It happens all the time,
Hey.
but I appreciate you holding it down.
Oh, dude, don't do that to me again. They were going to throw
I'm
tomatoes
sorry
at
about
me.
that. Yeah, look, it happens all the time.
I'm so glad you're back, though. Okay, so he does, he doesn't have a PI license, but he has a business license. And the states that he works, it doesn't require a PI license. Does that clear up that one?
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, because he says he's got a license. Now, I didn't think he did.
He has a business license.
Right, but
out
he
of
doesn't have
Biloxi.
a PI license, right?
He's trained because he's done the classes. He and his mother went to school together. They did the classes together. I know, crazy. His mom's a school teacher. So like they did the classes together. And so what he's done is that not he's not a licensed PI, but he has a business license. So by a technicality, it makes him a licensed PI. Does that by default? Because the states that he works out of, they don't require a PI license or a certification.
I think he missed the class on ethics.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Granny, thank you.
But Good Egg says he is not trained, and she's like, "Good Egg, can you come up here and explain?" It's got the thing on the cover or whatever. So if you don't want to, it's fine. But I just didn't know if you wanted to explain what you mean.
He was on a live the other night, and I asked him. He's such an arrogant prick, right? He's like, "Oh, if you want your question answered, you have to super chat $4.99 or more."
Oh, wasn't that the bullshit? Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, here's my phone number.
And Doug have figured out how to capitalize on this.
Yeah, well, this actually wasn't even on Doug's panel. This was somebody else's panel. But I wrote in a chat, I'm like, isn't it, isn't there like a contract or something? If you're hired by a family to do, investigate their case, do you really have a right to then come up here and say everything you found during it? He's like, oh, that's a great question. And then he gives his word salad splattered with diarrhea dressing, because that's what the guy's known for. And he goes, well, why would I put myself in that type of contract? And I'm like, well, who's going to let you dig into like their family skeletons and then come on YouTube and run your freaking mouth like you're like God's gift to the world because, well, you were able to con this family out of money? Then he responds back that the family, the parents didn't hire him, is what he said. He said something about
the grandparents hired him.
That's what he said. Yeah. Look at that photo. I mean, the way he sits so arrogant and like, oh, like, why does it matter? Why does he keep going?
Granny, you cut out.
Oh, I thought it was
probably
me. I
said
was
it better.
ready to leave and come back.
Basically, the dude's an asshole.
Yeah, he is. He really is. And for him to say the shit he said last night, he's like, "Don't hunt what you can't kill." Oh, really?
That sounds
I
very
really want to know
threatening
what
to
the fuck
me.
he thinks he means by that. Talking to him, the
He
mother of
doesn't leave his house. Like, he's putting threats out there and challenges out there that people are gonna fucking take him up on. He's pissing people off left and right out here.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of people pissed. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, Sandy, the grandparents hired him. And if you think about it, you have grieving grandparents, and he suckers people. He calls them, he lies to them, he tells them the newspaper, contacted him on their behalf, and he does this whole salesman's pitch. And you probably have these elderly grandparents who are missing their grandson, who figured, okay, if this guy can give us any type of answers and he's selling us a dream that he can, we're going to hire him.
Well, on top of that, you got to remember the grandparents are the ones that bought Dylan the land and encouraged him to quit school
Well,
and go out there. And
Grandpa threw down with him. They went half and half on that land.
yes, that's what I mean. So do you think that there isn't some guilt on the grandfather's part? He's probably like, man, if I wouldn't have tried to help Dylan fulfill his dream, maybe we'd still have Dylan in our family right now.
I'm sure there's guilt on all of their parts, but I mean, I just think of grandparents who have a couple dollars and they get this jerk on the phone who like sells these credentials he doesn't have, and anything to get their grandson back is what they're thinking, so they hire him.
Listen,
Yeah,
when I
yeah. And they said, well, and then on that call, I will try to go find it on Slueth Mom. I'll go find it real fast so we can play it. But on there, he says, what's going on? Why won't you guys speak to me? And she's like, well, we did speak to you. We kept in contact with you. And he keeps saying that Candace does not have a relationship, that Justin and his sister and his parents hate her and this, that, and the other. Well, when they talk on the phone, you can hear clear as day, Katie standing right there with her. And she's like, we don't have any interest to have you working with us anymore. Like, we don't,
Okay, well, even if there is estrangement in that family, it's not Jim's place to pull it out and then use it as a divisive tool. It's just not.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, but Candace, as the mother of Dylan Rounds, a missing person, Candace Cooley is granted a set of rights that nobody can tread upon. Nobody can impact. They're not supposed to. It becomes criminal territory when somebody does that.
As it should.
That's where I got, like, I've been sitting back watching this, and this has caused a big issue in my professional working relationship. Because of what he's saying out here. I now cannot go out and promote this person to a family.
Yeah, I hope not. Please don't.
No, I haven't been able to do that for about a year. As a matter of fact, when I get wind, I generally try to contact a family and be like, oh, maybe we need to go a little bit of a different route. There's been problems in the past. He has a tendency to take stuff online. You might want to rethink about it. But hey, what do I know? So he's the one that caused this one. And I have to, after what he pulled for standing me up the second time on this case, I will never platform him again. And I hope people stop platforming him.
Everybody has rights. Jim does have rights. And yes, there is a First Amendment right. But with that First Amendment right, you are not held. You still have consequences to free speech, right? So you can have your free speech, but there's also consequences to it. And he's literally hindering a missing persons case. So not only can they get him civilly, but if the FBI, which I read was stated in the chat room, wants to go after him for doing so, they can as well, right?
They could, yes. They could. Any law enforcement agency, if the family were to push, any law enforcement agency would be able to file back and he would have some pushback. So what he told me, about this cease and desist letter, because he called me yesterday and he said, "Hey, you need to go listen to my response on no
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 thanks.
gotcha investigate." I mean, he couldn't even get the channel name right. That was my bigger point. I'm like, dude, we all know the name of the channel. You can't even get it right. He's like, it's no gotcha investigates or something like that. You'll know where it's at. So there was that. He doesn't, he's out here making all this money with Doug, but he doesn't even have the ability to get the channel name right. That was number one. Number two, he goes in and he tells me that this law enforcement or this attorney is actually a man who has Alzheimer's, and his wife named Twinkie is the one who wrote it, and she's only a paralegal. So he doesn't believe that the cease and desist is actually a true cease and desist. So at that point, I was forced to cut all ties because I'm not going to go down on his sinking rat ship.
Well, I hope he pushes hard enough to find out.
Well, he's going to do
Up
something.
here. I just didn't know if you wanted me to say your name, but I see you up here with us.
Hey, I mean, this man is, everything he says is a lie. Like, this is a rare person, but these people who are con artists, pathological liars, they're delusional. Literally everything he says is a lie. So it's not even coming. I mean, I heard him on the.
You've got to hold up now. I get that that's your opinion, but you have to understand, some of us have known him. I personally have known him for a number of years, and I've worked professionally with him. Not everything he says is a lie.
And do you know about his criminal record for fraud? And
I'm well aware, honey. I've known the man since about 2007.
Okay, so you're since 2007?
I'm well aware.
Or 2017?
2007.
Oh, I thought you said like 5 years or something like that. So in 2008, he was, found guilty, had to pay restitution for fraud in Florida. So that was after you knew him?
Yes, that was I've known all of this. I'm well aware of all of this.
I saw him on a video, an interview like a year ago. And he had just been fired by another family. And so he immediately went to YouTube.
Was the fraud for another family that they did?
No, it looks like back then it was still when he was running his sports related frauds.
It was something to do with sports betting, something to do with that. But yes, like I met him when he was originally playing arena football.
Yeah,
he was good buddies with the football player that I used to date, Eugene Phillips. They both came out of the same. They both came out of Columbus, Georgia.
So, like a year ago, he was fired by another family for similar behavior, and of course, he went immediately.
Which family?
The family Jonathan Estes' family in Mississippi.
Jonathan Estes.
Yes.
Also, Devontae Richardson's family has fired him.
Right.
He, like Rebecca Brassati's family didn't, but there are several others.
Right.
But here's the thing. When he puts out his price and they pay and he brings even one answer, according to his contract, he's paid. He's done his job.
Yeah. I mean, no, he's running a con. He's a scam artist. So he immediately went to YouTube after he got fired by his one family, and he's, talking a mile a minute to the guy, and he tells the man who's interviewing him, who's actually a really good channel, a large channel too. He says to him that he's been doing PI work for 4 years. He said that he's worked on 120 to 125 missing person cases, that he works on one at a time, which I'm sure we can all realize is mathematically impossible. That 98% of his of the people he works with are celebrities. And obviously right there, we know those are lies because those are all impossible. That's impossible to happen.
So maybe the numbers are, but I know for a fact that he has worked on celebrity cases. His brother is a producer in LA. And he has worked different cases. Like, I can't go over all of our past.
No, it's okay. I mean, I don't want to argue with you because I'm aware of this.
What celebrities? Hold on, I need to know. What celebrities have you worked on? Wait. What celebrities have you worked with?
That one I can't go into. That one, there are There are clauses. There are. I
Like
can't
that.
Of
disclose.
course, but not 98% of 125 people in 4 years. Like, come on, like those are lies. So those are lies, right? And then it just seems the things that you're saying, I know that's kind of what he puts out there. It's just, these are just the things that I'm not saying that you are in any way being untruthful or covering for him. What I'm saying is that this is what this man does. He lies to people and he scams them. And he probably, anybody who is kind of on his side or ever has been, is probably being conned by him. They will probably eventually realize it, which seems like you're kind of in the process of doing
where I'm at today.
Yeah.
I mean, within the last 72 hours, so much has changed with a working relationship, a 5-year professional working relationship. So much has changed in 72 hours because of the choices that this man has chosen to make.
So what he basically does, the way he runs it right now, and there's people, like he says he works one at a time, but you can find multiple people on Facebook that he's targeted in just the last 2 months. So basically what he does is he joins Facebook groups for missing people, and he looks for any of the flyers that have personal contact information as opposed to just a tip, like a police tip line. He then cold calls these mothers of, whether they have a missing child or a missing niece or sister, something like that. He cold calls them. In at least 2 of the cases, he told the people, oh, your local news who covered it, they reached out to me. And that's why I'm reaching out to you. I want to offer my services. And at least one of those cases, the woman knew that was a lie right away because her particular son had not gotten any local coverage.
I will agree with you on that because that's how he found me 5 years ago. My name was associated with a missing persons case, and he called me saying that Dateline had just contacted him regarding this case, and he was looking for all of the information that he could find. But my name was the only name on you.
Yeah.
Well, that was my name was the only name associated with it, and the first thing I did was take it to my business partner, who's ex-law enforcement, and I said, I need you to run this person and tell me what you find on him, because he's contacting me saying that he's a PI wanting to bring us onto Dateline for this case. And I'm not a dumb person. I knew immediately that this was some sort of a spam, scam, or some sort of a deceptive practice. So
I'm sorry, I thought you said you met him. I thought you said you met him through your boyfriend, who was a football player.
I have. We lost touch. I had no idea.
You knew him way back in the day.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's what we call a scam, right? He's an actual con artist. He's calling from his phone. He calls people. He targets them. He finds them. He calls people sometimes with a family. The person's only been missing for like 48 hours. And so in some of these cases, the person turns up, unfortunately dead or alive within a week, but he gets right in there. He has a whole spiel that he tells them on the phone, and then he gets them to pay this flat rate because he goes this whole thing. I don't charge by the hour. Of course, he doesn't charge by the hour because he's not going to really do anything of value. And he has them send him like $2,500, $2,000, $3,000, and he's doing this to multiple. I mean, God knows how many people he actually contacts that say yes, because you have to say most people probably don't. And the fact that I can easily find 5 families that this has happened to in the last 2 months on Facebook, how often is he running? How often is he making that cold call? That is a scam. And he's always been a scammer. And he used to scam with running like fake football camps and stuff like that. Like you said, with the online betting thing, he got in trouble with. And here's one thing. It's not okay to steal money from people or scam people. But it is a whole nother level when the people that you are now targeting are not high school kids who want to play, college ball and their families. Now you're targeting the families of people who are missing, families of people who have passed away, whether from violence or murder or suicide. That is a whole nother level of.
I agree fully. And that's why I clicked the link to come up and speak with you guys about my side of it. This is ruined. Like, James was somebody who I would bounce questions off of. I mean, he might he might be being a shitty overall human for his practices, but there is part of him that he is good at what he does. He is very smart and he's very good at what he does. And he has helped me. There, you know, not all of my experiences in the past with him have been bad, but what I can tell you in at least the last 6 months that I have seen transpire and take place, he is starting to cross that unethical line.
But here's the
And
thing, boys. Most con artists are smart, right? Most are. And he pulled a con on you because you still believe in this dude. And you're like over the past 5 months, but he's been doing this for a really long time.
Right. I won't associate with him anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
But
your personal experience wants you to see good in him. I mean, we've all experienced that, right? Like a parasocial relationship type of thing. And so you want to see good in him. But what the caller's saying is like, this is what he's known for. This is nothing new. What's new is the way he's acting right now is the most outrageous you've seen him.
Right. And that is correct. Thank you, Granny, God, I appreciate that you know me well enough. Thank you.
Well, yeah,
yes.
you know what? The way, I mean, explaining it that way kind of helps too, you know?
Right. I choose to see the good because I've known him for long enough. I see what you guys are also seeing, and it puts me in a really conflicted place. But that's why I came up here. Yeah, I'm not trying to defend him, but what upsets me the most is that there are families, there are victims of the missing, the families that are left behind that are being taken advantage of by this person, and that can't happen. That has to be stopped.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I hope it doesn't seem, you know, I agree with Granny that basically he has probably the long line of people that he has conned who eventually see him for who he is, and that makes them a victim. That's not anything on him. But I also disagree with this idea that he is good at what he does or he uncovers information. I think that's part of his like his whole snake oil salesman type thing, because I know I've watched the stuff in his success stories. I've read the news articles of his success stories. Okay. And so I could see how if anybody was giving him any credence to what he was saying and his narrative, that they would believe that he had accomplished things in the past. However, in the one case really where a girl was a runaway and she was young and she was returned back to the family, he goes to the media and he says that it's from all this stuff that he had done, right? He had called, he had gotten the witnesses to talk, he had set up the meet, that the police then went on his information. But there's never, ever examples of the law enforcement or the family confirming that his information is what led to it. He's just a scam artist who's going to say that he did that. And in fact, in the Jonathan Estes case, he had also, said that he was the one who was able to hack into the phone, like into the guy's phone, and he was able to reset the Facebook password to get into Facebook. And the family said that that was not true. And in another case where recently, and this woman is kind of going after him on Facebook a little bit, her son, who was an adult son but young, he had kind of disappeared after leaving a rehab. And they hired him, and he had them all over the place saying he was talking to the kid, that he was in this state with this girl, and all these things. And then eventually they realized what he was. They have a very similar abusive phone call that he made that they put up on Facebook. This is all very recent. Her son eventually, made contact with mom, right? Like he has a substance use disorder, and he kind of went off the grid for a little bit. And so he's back. He's found everything that the man said was a lie. None of that had ever happened, but he was just feeding this stuff to the family. And so what basically happens is he just feeds his line of BS, like he's doing with this Dylan Rounds case, these crazy theories. And if the family doesn't have the time to publicly fire him or whatever, then but they kind of just back off from him, disassociate, then when the case, kind of wraps up, or the person is found, or where the person is found deceased, he can just then go on and continue his crazy theories saying that this is how I made that happen. And people believe it. This is not any shade to people who fall for this. This is an experienced con man. This is why people are able to scam people out of, hundreds of thousands of dollars all the time.
God forbid Natasha Cooper should learn his grift.
What I'm saying is we have enough
Oh,
people on
Lord.
Facebook. He's really making money.
Really?
He's not just getting views. He says these people send me
He's
$2,000 right now.
money. Well, and with him doing that, go ahead. I have to go out into the other room. My bird's doing too much. Sorry. Go ahead.
Your bird. I can't. So it's very upsetting. I don't think there's any stopping a guy like this, but I do hope that after this case, that when he cold calls a family, if they even drop his name into Google, I hope that the first things that come up are,
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's ways that you can, there's absolute ways that you can stop him so he doesn't do this to other families. You can go out and you can put complaints against the license in Biloxi. You can go out and you can file complaints with your state attorney general. You can do all of that to get them to stop what they're doing. Also, if he's working in a state that requires a PI license and he's working on a case that requires a PI license, you have the ability to report him for that because he doesn't actually have one. He has a business license. Listen to what he tells people.
Yeah.
Well, how is he PIing from his home? If he doesn't leave his home, how's he doing all this work? The same way all these internet sleuths are?
Yep. He's just a web sleuth.
Yeah.
That, and he can pull backgrounds. He's got some other software that he uses.
Yeah, he's basically getting paid for the thing that we all do.
Right.
Just because we have a weird hobby. And he's getting paid up front for it. But con artists are chameleons, voices. Yes, you can do that. You get run out of one thing, but they'll go to another thing. Like he got run out of doing this in the indoor football world. Like he is this man, his reputation was so bad at that point after years of him running scams and things that he couldn't do that anymore. So he's moved into this world. If he gets run out of this world, he'll go to another world. I just don't want families hiring him and paying him money.
Is there, when you Google his name, do all these things come up, like these bad things or just the good things?
Not really. I think now it's more so, but it's...
I wonder if there's a way to do that, because that's most of the problem too. When you Google somebody,
I missed what your question was, Granny. What was your question?
When you Google him, do these con type of things come up, or just the success stories that he has?
I don't honestly know. I haven't Googled him in a while.
His PI company doesn't even have a website or face, so I don't think he really wants so much of that kind of a internet footprint.
He's trying to keep a low profile. That's why he puts his phone number across when he's on lives. He said, "This is my free publicity. This is why I have my phone number stolen. This is how I get my business." And I'm like, wow.
Right, but he doesn't want a website or where there could be Google reviews left. You cannot Google the Gulf Investigative Services.
It's Gulf Coast. What is it? Gulf Coast Investigative Solutions.
Yeah, I didn't even know his business name. Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have no idea what it is. I have heard him say it, but I don't recall what it is. But I'll tell you what, his very first interview with Doug at No Thanks, he sits and says that he charges the family a flat rate fee and they have to pay that flat rate fee. And then when I went in there and asked a question, of course I was wrenched on site. They wrenched me, but he still answered the question. And he said he only worked for them for 5 days. So I said back to him, did you return the money then? Because they fired you and you, they didn't want to work with you anymore and you only worked for them for 5 days. Did you return their money? And he was pissed. He answered it back. I got the clip of it.
Yeah, so he won't return. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes, 5 days. If he gets the answers.
Well, he didn't even get the answers. That's why he does a flat rate.
Made a bunch of accusations.
Sorry, Queen.
No, it's okay. He just, like I said, he didn't get any answers. He's just made a bunch of accusations,
Well, that's what I'm saying. In 5 days, he discovered all of this riffraff that he's caused, all this, similar was done with the Summer Wells case. It went into what Don allegedly did with the sisters and this and that, and it waters down the focus on Summer. This is watering down the focus on Dylan. It shouldn't be allowed. It's truly sad to see this happen.
I agree. That's part of the reason that.
Yeah, he jumped on it right out the gate. Right out the gate, he jumped on it.
And that's why he does a flat rate, because rather you keep him for 5 minutes or 5 hours or 5 days, he's keeping your money no matter what, because, well, you just paid him.
Or
Yep.
5 months, but I've yet to see him be on a case for 5 months.
He doesn't even
Most of
last
them
5 months. That's very telling too.
Well, I mean, he comes up with some sort of a whatever within, within a month of him being on the case, he gets it. He'll head it in a direction. I mean, Rebecca Brassati's case, he got a lot of answers for her family, was able to track down a lot of stuff, but it still didn't get the right answers. And, David didn't get charged with domestic violence when it went into court, because we couldn't even say that Rebecca was actually missing. It made it look like Rebecca charged her estranged husband with domestic violence and then didn't show to her own court hearing. But we couldn't tell the court at all that Rebecca was missing. So, I mean, it's things like that, I mean, had he done something different, maybe we would have had a different outcome.
I don't think he had any effect on that case. I mean, I understand that they hired him and they never fired him, but what I read up on it, and she was recently found. There are no answers, and whatever rumors he decided to
but that's the problem.
Families will go down any path. He doesn't actually. I just feel like you're still kind of, and I don't blame you. You've known him a long time. It's hard to just turn this off, but I think you're still kind of buying his lines of BS.
Oh, I mean, probably it sounds like it, but it's not. I mean, going forward, there will be no association with me and Jim Terry. Like, it's done.
Is Rachel the beautiful girl that was missing, I believe, in Florida?
No, yes. That was the girl. No, that was the girl who was found. It was the Michaela girl.
Oh, Michaela Nelson.
Yeah. He was online. I seen him on YouTube with one case. That's the first time I saw him, and it was a missing woman, and he was mad that a creator Venmo'd her money, and he said that by Venmoing her money, it threw the whole case off or something.
Yes,
because then the family thought she had a transaction. Yeah, who was that?
Yeah,
that was Michaela Nelson, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that was Michaela Nelson's case. He also found her in a car in a Walmart parking lot.
Right. He had also said this
law
poor
enforcement found her.
Right. There was also a kid out of Idaho, this poor kid, who had been missing for a while. He was actually deceased, but he was working for the family for a while, and he told the family that he had tracked the kid to California, but then the child was told, and then years later, the those divers who go out and search for missing people, they found they found his submerged car, and they found his remains. So he had been, his thing was whole bullshit. And then the funny thing is, he freaked out, and I heard him in another interview for the Rebecca Brassati case, where he was telling people, "Oh, these search and rescue divers, it's junk science. It's a scam. Search and rescue is junk science. It's a scam. Never hire any search and rescue. Don't allow search and rescue to come. They can't do anything," because he was so upset that these people with actual skills had found this kid, and also this idea that it was clear that he had been making up complete lies about having tracked him to California and stuff like that. I don't know how search and rescue is a junk science. That makes no sense to me, but whatever.
Yeah, it's actually a legit thing.
Search and rescue is not junk science. I'm sorry, you can't say that, because a lot of in the rural areas where I live, the only reason that people are found is because of search and rescue.
But he doesn't want families to pay for search and rescue if they have a little bit of money that they scraped together from a GoFundMe or from their family. They have a cold case and they want to do something, and now they have $5,000. He's telling them, don't hire search and rescue. They'll do nothing. Hire me. That's what's happening.
Rowena said he's a roach. He is a roach.
That's got to come to an end. We're going to have to do something else to make that stop, because I'm sorry, people with drones and dogs and the ability to monitor
Hold on, this one says Michaela Nelson case out of Ohio. His dad was not happy with this guy after he said what he said. I wonder what he said.
Yeah, what did he say? I can imagine he said many things that would make a parent unhappy, to be honest.
Oh yeah, he has said a lot of stuff about Candace, and I'm just like sitting here in shock. I cannot believe the shit he's saying. And he's like, Justin doesn't even want to sit close to her. He can't stand her. He don't even want to sit close. And she's a horrible mother. And I'm thinking, who the fuck do you think you are to sit here and speak on this mother while she's going through what she's going through? Are you kidding me?
And after 5 days of being on it, like, what do you know about this woman's parenting in all those years when you spent 5 days?
And only phone conversations. Only phone conversations, not actual physical. Put boots on the ground and be out there.
Oh, he can't leave his house. There's probably many people that want to kick this dude's ass if you think about it. Arrogant.
What is with all these people from Florida that can't leave their fucking houses?
I, for one, love Florida. There is a bunch of craziness. Florida and Colorado. Look at the smug look on his face. I mean, I can't even stand to look at this guy. Imagine if he was doing this to your family. It's surely horrific. I mean, it's honestly just horrible. And then as a businessman, he's so professional. He gets up there with his written little crown signs of F you to a mother of a grieving mother with a missing child that didn't even hire him, his parent, the grandparents. And that's his professionalism. That's his response on, no thanks. I mean, come on. The whole thing's just so cringe.
So Sweepy in chat says that for Michaela Nelson, basically, she had a mental breakdown. He said horrible things about her and her entire family, which is part of his MO. A lot of times these missing people cases, it is somebody who maybe had a substance use disorder or is like a runaway. And what he'll do is he gets into it and he will basically talk about them in like really horrible ways about all their secret. He even does with the Jonathan Estes thing. He talked about the guy was like a swinger and had like this messed up, his sex life. He'll talk about their drugs. Even with his Dylan kid, he's trying to say that he was gay and in this like secret gay relationship with a pedophile. Like he just says he has like these same patterns. In fact, I even found another case where he said a year ago, "Oh, I found some kid. I tracked him. He had run away and joined a militia," which is literally what he's saying about Dylan. He's just repeating like these same really salacious kind of.
It's almost like he wants to make it as juicy as he can so that it catches more, like speaking about the woman menstruating, living in her car, not being sanitary. That's what you say about a missing persons case you're working on?
After she was found. Because basically she had like a mental break. She was found, yeah. And this is what he was saying afterwards. After the family had paid him money.
Somebody's going to get this guy for slander and libel. And I hope it's this family right here because this is just horrible. And again, what a circus it turns the case in. I hear more people speaking on if Dylan was gay and if the uncle was wearing makeup than I do anything else about the case. And I know nothing about the case besides those two facts. It's horrible.
Sadly, those are not even facts. Those are just rumors that he started.
Right, you're right. I mean? Thank you for correcting me. They're rumors.
That's the saddest part of it all. Listen, I'm going to play this little clip of, he's trying to pay right now $500 to dox Slueth Mom, because he feels like he needs to dox her and put her information out there because she released this call between him and Candace. Bullshit.
Cinnamon Bear in the chat.
She's got kids or a family or anything. He doesn't give two shits about that. Also, can we correct the registered SA? He said there was 75 people and 50 of them were registered SA offenders. That's not true. Actually, go ahead with the statistics you got.
Yeah, so Montello, which is what he's talking about, the town in Nevada, it's a zip code that covers 780 square miles, so it's gigantic. There's only 200 people who live there. And so in that entire zip code, there are 5 registered sex offenders, which might be high for a population of 200, not sure. But
there's really not in one area. There's not 50 of them that live in one area. Where she said, "Oh my God, she should be ashamed of herself. She's a horrible mother because she sent her child to go live in a desert with 50 registered SA offenders."
Listen, there's only 5 in that area, and 3 are from the same family.
Yeah, so his rumors, they don't solve anything. They just cause it's more of an uproar. You know what I mean? But this is him. I'm going to play this little clip real fast of him talking to Candace, which is Dylan's mom, Dylan's Aunt Katie, who is Justin's sister, and it was her and her mother, Justin's parents, the grandparents, Dylan's grandma and grandpa, that hired him. Now, this is the call that they had with him. This was like 9 days ago, 10 days ago. So in 10 days, the damage he's done to this, open investigation in 10 days is incredibly awful.
I'm going to jump down. Thank you for having me up.
Okay, thank you for coming up, honey. I appreciate you.
Bye, panel guest.
Bye.
Bye, Granny.
I'm gonna play this little clip real fast. Listen to what he says. Like, listen to how he is with these guys.
At all three of you?
Yep.
I'll call the PI. Okay, now I'm gonna have the PI, so hang on.
Can you guys hear it okay? Can you girls hear it okay?
Let it run for a little bit longer. I could hear it.
Okay. She's getting them on there. She's getting them on the line now. She's like trying to call and get him on the phone now. And they get him on the line, and it's all three of them standing there.
Okay, there?
Okay.
Yep. Okay, we've got Karen and Karen too, James. Okay, first of all, we got to get the elephant in the room out of here. Why am I not hearing from you guys anymore? Why can't I get a hold of you for the last 2 weeks? I've left voicemails with your sister. I've left touch press to Justin. In fact, your mom called me 4 days ago and said she didn't know why nobody would talk to me or call me. So you guys have not reached out to me. Okay, so how about everybody else on the phone?
James, this is Katie. This is Katie. I'll just speak for myself. I've got to protect my own little family here. We've already been through massive trauma, me and my own little family. And I'm also working closely with Candace, and she's going kind of a different direction. So I'm trying to respect that. But you were more than welcome to get in touch with my mom, and I think that you did. So I don't have a problem here.
Okay,
So I think she was very clear. What do you guys think? Did you guys hear that?
Wow, I hadn't heard that before. I've had some other things going on in my world. Thank you for playing that for me, Queen. They shut him right down. 100%.
Yes, they did. And this was 9 days ago on Slueth Mom. This is the call that he's really pissed about. This is why he wants to pay $500 to dox her. This is Justin's sister, Katie, and Dylan's mother, Candace, as well as her husband, Mike. And I believe Justin is sitting there as well. I could be wrong.
Okay, so you're telling me that this picture that he's painted, that the family said, oh, don't worry about the mother, she just causes problems. That's clearly an inaccurate portrait of the family dynamics.
Absolutely. And this is on Slueth Mom. You can go listen to the call yourself. I will actually give the timestamp right now as to where this is at. It's 19 minutes and 11 seconds in. It's a 39-minute call.
I'll listen to it. I will.
Wait,
like I said, I haven't.
You haven't heard this call? Because that is, I heard you say, I'm just shocked because that's not.
This is what threw everything into motion. This call right here is what kicked everything into motion.
If you hear the rest of it, it is, no, I'm just telling you to prepare yourself. Prepare yourself, because the mom at one point, he basically talked about the scratches, and he goes to the mom, he's like, oh, so you saw those scratches on that, the bar owner's arm. He's like, that was your kid's fingernails. And she started freaking out. She's like, don't talk about that. That was my kid's fingernails. She's like, your kid is dead. Horrible. It was awful.
It was awful. It was horrific.
Your child is dead. Get over it.
Sickening. How do you do this to a family? The family, a mother.
That's why. That's why I've avoided it, because it's just like the Wells case. That family was, whether they're like, the only thing they're guilty of are being crappy parents because DFS removed their children, and guilty of drinking and driving. As of this moment, those are the only things they're guilty of. So at this point, the Rounds family is being just as disseminated as what happened with the Wells case. Which we can also say it's the same shit that happened with the Long case. People get in here and they're tearing these cases apart, and they're doing damage to these families at the absolute worst time ever, when just breathing hurts. probably a good thing I didn't listen to this 10 days ago, because I probably, I'm sorry to the Rounds family. I'm sorry to Candace Cooley for what James has done. I'm sorry to Dylan's grandparents. I'm so terribly sorry. There's nothing I can do to make it right, but by being aware of what this person's doing, maybe we can stop another family from going through what the Rounds family has gone through with this person.
Yeah, it's a horrible.
Right.
Honestly, yeah,
Right.
I don't
You know
follow.
what? I think you should be glad he stood you up, because
Yeah.
you didn't partake in any of this bullshit behavior and spreading his bullshit narrative on your channel.
I won't lie. He called me last night and he's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry about that. You know, I couldn't bounce out of Doug, because did you see all the dollars that were flying in there?" And I said, "James, it's not about the money on our side. We're about the advocacy for the victims. I do this stuff for maybe $150 a month. I am not out here for the money. I am out here for the families, and I've been out here for the families." Biggest problem that James and I have had in our professional relationship is that I don't charge families for my services. I don't charge, because everybody should advocate for each other at no cost. Advocacy is free.
Right, you do this.
It's like
You're
timeless.
you're a PI as well. You do the same shit he does.
Me?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. You said you don't charge for your services. What services do you offer? What do you mean? What are you saying?
I'm an advocate. I help the families get in touch with NAMIS. I help the families stay in touch with law enforcement.
Oh,
I help the families. Like, I'm an advocate. I don't charge for advocacy. And that's the biggest problem James and I have had, is he wants me to charge for my services. And I refuse to. I will not charge a family. Like, who preys upon a family that needs advocacy? Assholes.
Well, I think you'll be very upset when you listen to that call, because like Queen will tell you, I don't follow true crime at all. All these missing person cases I just talked about, I found out about in the last 24 hours. This is not my thing at all. I don't follow stuff at all. I don't follow Summer Wells or any of it. It's not interesting to me. But when I heard that call on Queen's channel, it was such a horrific thing. It was one of the worst things I've heard. And I came after the Michael Long case, so that's saying a lot. It was one of the worst things I heard a human being saying on the internet in the last 2 years. And that was enough to make me want to look into this guy.
Well, I think
somebody said they didn't hear it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to. Somebody said they couldn't hear it. A couple of people said they could not hear. They couldn't hear it, because so I'm gonna play it real fast again. If you guys don't mind, you guys mind?
No, not at all. If you want me to pull it up on my laptop and play it from there, I can do that too, Queen. It's not a problem.
I was gonna say I just play it on here because I don't have a way to screen share it like that. So
well, give me just a second. My laptop's starting, and I'll get over to Slueth Mom. And you said it was 19 minutes in.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see here. The call starts at here. This is the middle. They're called the call with him with everybody starts at. Let me see when they start picking up together. It's like 8.
Okay, we there? Yep.
18, 17. 18 minutes, 18:17. So that's where this call between them, which is halfway through now the call is 39 minutes long. Okay. If you want to, we can play the whole thing. I don't think she'll strike me. I don't think she'll care, but I don't want to be disrespectful to her channel either. I know she's been through hell and back dealing with this man, so I don't want to make anything worse for her. But I do want to make sure this call gets out. I want to make sure people hear.
The only thing that I had heard was her talking about how she's taken on so much harassment and her mods were being harassed.
They all are. Yes, they all are. And it's
that
awful.
Was the only thing that I had heard, but I didn't, again, I had been dealing with the Price is Wrong with the makeup sales. So I wasn't really following a lot of stuff. So again, this is my bad.
I have no idea what you're even talking about with the Price Wrong stuff or what. I have no idea.
I've been following Natasha's makeup sales.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I have no idea
what that wrong.
I can only imagine that was probably a hell of a time.
I think you should play it. I think you should play Queen at like 2 times speed. This woman had a bounty put on her head. He literally got on.
Hold up. Can you pop it on?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Pull it up real
Yeah.
fast, and that way you can just, and you can play it from the beginning if you want. I just wanted to make sure that I played the part where he was on the phone with the sister Katie who sent the money. She's speaking on behalf of her parents, where she spoke for herself, and she said, "You were in contact with my parents." So obviously you can hear all of them speaking together.
Unbelievable. I just found it, Queen.
Oh yeah, it's and he's awful to her. He's like I said, trying to pay $500 to dox Slueth Mom because of this call.
Just running around in that desert at night between,
Is it playing? You guys got it playing? Somebody's got it.
All right.
Say, is it playing? Because I hear it. But the call
I got it.
I think everybody kind of starts out with him saying something about calling somebody a bitch, keep it all straight. And that's how the call starts. So if you want to listen to the whole thing, we can. But like I said, I started it at 18 minutes where all four of them were on the phone together, and he says, "Let's address the elephant in the room." And he immediately goes into, "Why are you guys not contacting? Why are you guys not having contact with me? Why are you not reaching out to me? Why are you guys not speaking to me?" Hey, that girl, I see you, babe.
Okay, I found
and
it.
thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate that too. And thank you for coming up here.
Do you want me to start it at this 18 minutes where they're getting ready to add the PI?
All right, let me see. I'm going to pop this picture down. I can't believe last night he really had the nerve to go on Doug's stream with a mask on. Are you serious right now? I could not believe it.
Well, that's what he called me, and he's like, "You need to go listen to what my legal representation had to say." So I'm thinking that maybe he had actual legal representation, and then it comes on and it's him in a damn mask.
So now I'm going to give you the information I think you guys must have. Who is the police officer that was supposed to have interviewed Kurt? Told you he interviewed Kurt, and then when I talked to Kurt, told you that was a lie, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we never interviewed him." Who was that guy?
That was on, gosh, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Thursday.
Was it Fisher? Blower?
Fisher was in the meeting.
It was Blower, Candace.
Blower.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
Blower.
Yeah.
Okay, I told Blower that story, and he says, "You guys are totally full of shit." He says, "There was never any conversation with him. There was never any, hey," because I said, "Well, Mr. Blower, or Detective Blower, whatever his name is, if I offended you by talking to Kurt and telling the family that you didn't interview him, that's not my fault." I says, "If you told that family you interviewed him, and I interviewed him first, and you got caught in some sort of a lie or miscommunication, what the hell are you talking about? Because I've had a conversation with anybody about me not interviewing them." He says, "We never said that we interviewed him when we didn't. I mean, if I didn't know better," and I believe you guys, if I didn't know better, I think you're all batshit crazy. And him and I went over that. We went round and round. I got a threatening phone call from an elbow cop pretty much telling me to butt out or else. And I said, "Or else what? The fuck you gonna do?" They have a sheriff there. So are we all aware of the militia group? And I told Justin about this. Are we all aware of the group that your son was part of in the middle of the night that was going around policing the area against theft? Are we aware of that?
How can you verify he was part of it?
How can I verify that? Because I've spoken with 3 people that saw the group. There's a school teacher in town. The sheriff of Elko, who's got some sort of an indigenous name, a Mexican name, knows well about this. Ty knows about this. Justin, have you filled them in on Ty?
Yeah, Ty's the guy from Wells. His wife has cancer.
Yeah, he knows about the group. He knows that he was involved in it. It's a reason he wasn't coming back to the house and sleeping. It makes sense. Now, was I there? No. But as long as we're all aware of that. So here's what just happened about 2 hours ago. A woman called me. I've got her name and everything. And depending on how this will go, you guys tell me what to do with it. But a woman called me about an hour and a half ago, okay? She told me they have 35 legitimate residents, so less than 200. I mean, I've been on football teams with more. So here's the deal. Someone calls me crying. Like I said, 90 minutes ago. She says that when an elderly person or a child is sexually or physically abused, she works for the state and she goes in and she talks with them. If they're neglected, if somebody leaves an old person with diapers on and doesn't deal with them, there must be the 200 people that live in that town. I would say probably 140 of them have to be living in sheds. She explained to me that these people have no running water, that they have no toilets, that they don't have any way to cook food, and they're living in sheds. Which is what she described. I looked her up. She did work for the state. She's 100% legit, no criminal record. And I'm going to get her over to you guys, but she didn't know who to call. She tried to call the police. She tried to call this number.
Can you slow it down just a little bit?
She finally reached me. And she says, "I don't know what to do." I says, "Well, tell me your story." She says, "Today, there was a guy who lives in that area. He lives in a shelter, in a shanty, in some sort of a shed. And he was so full of shit and piss in his own chair and his diapers that they called out her group. So they call out these victim rights advocates, and they come out there like they would for an abused housewife. They come out there with the police. This guy's in his 70s.
Runs off the mouth.
He's bed sores, I mean, as bad as you could possibly imagine. So she gets called out there with the nurses and everybody to go out there. When she goes out there, this guy is talking about Dylan Rounds. Guess who his buddy is? Troy Wadsworth. So this girl doesn't follow the story.
doesn't know Dylan Rounds, couldn't care a shit less what goes on in the media. And she's sitting here this morning listening to this elderly man in his own feces because he's a registered sex offender. She doesn't want to have to help him, but she has to because her job dictates, because he's an elderly person that's been neglected in this shed, which, by the way, he doesn't own. It's owned by somebody else. That this Hornbeck fella, she has to go out there and find out why he's being treated the way that he is. And all he wants to talk about is Dylan Rounds. And they did the same thing to Dylan Rounds that they did to those 3 women. And I says, ma'am, you got to tell me who these 3 women are. So Troy Wadsworth in 2018 had a steady girlfriend for quite some period of time. I think he dated her for, several years. He had locked her in a shed. The shed was in the middle of nowhere. She wasn't allowed to leave. He also made her, now, when I got to follow me on this, when I got a phone call from Kurt's, I believe it was either his sister or his daughter, whoever the one is whose husband badmouthed me on Facebook, which I still haven't seen. She told me, I says, well, isn't your uncle a registered sex offender? And she said, no, he's not. It was just some stuff where he was talking to some girls from out of state online. That's about 5% of the story. So what happened with Troy Wadsworth is Troy Wadsworth had one of these sheds like this old man is in. And this old man knows him because they're both registered sex offenders. So what happened was Troy Wadsworth had this girlfriend that he locked in that shed for the last 2 years of their relationship. She wasn't allowed to leave, chained in there.
Okay, so from what I heard, that's not
now,
true.
This goes back to what Justin says about him coming out and talking about water.
Have we found any charges to back that up?
No, I have not. I'm not.
Back that up.
I'm Googling as we're speaking, Queen, and I'm not finding anything like that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't think, did you find any? I didn't think you found any either. There was one article where he got arrested for domestic. It was a domestic between him and his old lady, I guess. And
like
it
a
was stalking.
PFMA? It looks like it's a PFMA, like partner family member assault.
Yeah, so yeah, him and his old lady got into it, I guess, and he was stalking, and he made bond and then got arrested again that night for the same thing, stalking and something else. But I've never seen any articles with 3 ladies where this happened and he was convicted or charged or anything with it. I have never seen that.
Well, I want to know what advocate. I want to know what advocate's calling James Terry and doing that, because that advocate just completely put her ass on the line.
Yeah.
They did not do. Excuse me, Kurt. What Kurt said about to Justin. Talking about him shitting himself, and they're just giving him just enough water. Okay, so just enough water. So this is why this story resonates with a nurse that has no idea about anything. What he would do is he would bring out jugs of water to this girlfriend of his, this Troy Wadsworth guy. He would bring out these jugs of water to this chained up woman, and he would put it on a stand. He would, if she didn't do things sexually for him that also involved other women and other men, he would poke holes in the water. Now, this is all documented through the fucking cops there. If the cops tell you they don't know about this story, they're fucking lying. And I am trying desperately with every favor I can to get copies of this paperwork. So when these cops tell you that this is bullshit from a private investigator 5 states away, you could show it to them because they're all fucking lying to you. So he would poke holes in the water and let the water run and would leave her out there for increments of 3 to 5 days. Finally, he got sick of her and he says, I will let you go if you contact 2 other women or another woman or another guy and get them to come to the trailer. His girlfriend at the time, who I believe's name was, that's where he got in trouble online. It was the only charge as a registered sex offender he ever occurred. So what he did was he made his girlfriend contact these women, and they got 2 women who were in an abusive situation to come. One was a mother, one was a daughter. The daughter was underage, the mother was of age. Now he's got captive 3 women in this shed. He kept the 2 women and the little girl for 4 months together until the mother of the girl, not his girlfriend, and I'll give you their names and everything here in a minute, ran away and went to the post office. Is there a post office in that town? A small little post office?
Yeah.
So wherever his shed is was close enough to that post office. I don't know the town. When she got to the post office, They contacted child services and several people, and that's when the cops came. And she was so terrified of this man. Now I says, well, where was her family? Where was her parents? Where was this little girl's parents? They had nobody that would be missing them. The problem here is Dylan Rounds has people that are missing him. So they come up with this story. The sheriff's department gets in the car. They go to the fucking shed. There's the woman. They get her out of the shed. Troy Wadsworth is nowhere to be found. So they get the story, but the three women are so terrified from what they've gone on through. The only thing they can charge Troy Wadsworth with is getting that little girl to come across state lines to stay in the shed. They wouldn't show up for court. They wouldn't press charges. And all the police have are three disheveled women, by the way, barefoot. So what they say he does, and this resonates with your son, is he makes you take off your shoes. If he puts you in a shed and he keeps you captive, he pokes holes in the water. He makes sure that the only way that you can have anything to do with him is when the water runs out, they've got to constantly go back. It's kind of like almost like an hourglass. The other thing he does is, go ahead.
There's a shed here in town.
Well, I don't know where the shed is, but where the cops know. If the cops don't fucking know, they're lying. And the other.
We don't always know how long we have to be together with the ones we love.
The thing too is that what he will do is he removes the shoes of his captors. And what they do when they remove the shoes of the captors is that way it's hard to escape. They used to do that in Vietnam, my father said. When they would capture soldiers, they would take their shoes because you don't have shoes, you can't walk through the jungle. Now, I don't know what it's like out there, and I got to imagine, but when that woman made it to the post office, her feet were so tore up, she had to go to the hospital. So she just grinned it and bared it and ran. So this is what he was busted for. Now, his brother was his helper. They don't believe this ever stopped. This has been going on. So I believe, and this is kind of a distant thing, that it might have even something to do with the other boy that's missing out there. I think they might have come upon him late at night. I think they got him too. So this is one of two things. This is either has something to do with a discharged firearm, which would explain why they did the car, or maybe one of both. You know, maybe they had him out there for a while because nobody really knows when he went missing. So she's texting me right now all the information on these cases. Here's the problem. She will lose her nursing license. She violates every HIPAA law that's out there, but she is so distraught by this that she goes, I had to call somebody. She goes, I don't know what to do. I says, can you get me? I says, where are those three women at now? She goes, well, two of them changed their names and moved out of town. And the other one moved away from town, but is still somewhat in the area. She goes, they were so scared of these Wadsworths. I says, can you get me on the phone with those three women? I want these women to tell me and this family the story of how they were held captive by Troy and his brother. And she says she'll have them on the phone with me tonight. The problem is I can't get a hold of you folks to get you on the phone with these people so that you can track this down, because I think that this is your best bet if he is still alive. The problem here is this comes down to two people, and I've been through them all, guys. This is the last thing I'm going to say. This isn't helicopters. This isn't on horseback. This isn't rednecks with shotguns. This isn't going to people's house. This involves two people. That guy's arm should have had photographs taken of it 2 weeks ago. Why somebody won't go up to him and say, Troy, let me see your fucking arm. Take out their cell phone and bing, ding, 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 ding is beyond me. The other thing that should have been done 2 weeks ago is somebody should have went up to Kurt and said, Kurt, I need your cell phone. And I talked to the police about this. They gave me every excuse. Let me see your cell phone. If Kurt doesn't have anything wrong or anything nasty with your son, then all the text messages from the last 2 years or however long they've known each other should be on there. If he's deleted that phone and wiped it, well, then he's hiding something, and those things can be taken into account and later picked up. They can be found again. If all of the text messages are on there, it would be pretty interesting to see what their communication was like over the last 2 years. If in the last 2 years, as I told the detective, they go, well, that's not a crime. They go, he doesn't have to turn over his phone. No, but you can ask about it. He goes, well, I'm 300 miles away. I said, I'll tell you what. I will hire a drive service to come over there and pick him up and take him, put him in a hotel, and bring him back the next day. They wouldn't do it. The cops wouldn't do it. Kurt was probably willing to do that. And if he wasn't, it would be interesting to hear him decline. If Kurt will not show you his cell phone and his 2 years or however long of text messages with your son, then there's a problem. Okay, then there's a massive problem. And like I told the cops, they go, well, what would be the crime? Let's say there's a bunch of text messages. If he said something to that boy 2 years ago that you look hot in those pants, or I'd like you to suck my cock, or have you ever been with an older man? That's a fucking crime because he's 17. They can arrest him on the spot if he's got text messages to a 17-year-old boy that are lewd, whether anything happened or not. Okay, I said, well, we heard today through Justin that he does have scratches on his arm. Have you been down there? No, it's too far. I said, well, why don't you call somebody from Elko and have Elko go do it? Well, it's not Elko, it's these guys. It's not these guys, it's these guys. And they said, well, we were also told not to deal with the private investigator. I said, by whom? Who told you that? They won't tell me. So somebody in the family told them not to deal with me. I don't know who that is. That might just be another liar and excuse, but I haven't heard from anybody. So no matter what's going on here, no matter what the scenario is, it involves two people and two bits of evidence. That scratched up, clawed up arm and that cell phone. And I don't care how many helicopters or horsebacks or searches you do, the only two things you need to search are that arm and that cell phone, and this will tell you exactly what happened. Because if they deny you that, then that's where we're at. Now then what? What? Take me through the scenario. He says, no, I'm not showing you my phone. Well, then you tell me how that goes. I can tell you what I'd do. I could tell you what that would tell me. And he thinks you're his buddy. I'm sorry? No, I would ask him, I'd say, hey, Kurt, listen, because by the way, Kurt's family's reached out to me several times. They call me all the time to tell me what a fucking great guy he is. And every time they call me, I says, why don't you have me tell him this, let me see his cell phone. Let's go on FaceTime, let me look through his text messages. Bang, they'll hang up, and then somebody's husband goes on and badmouths me on Facebook. I don't get on Facebook and do that kind of shit because that's not what this is about. So this is very simple. Kurt may be your friend as long as you allow him to be. I think you're to the point.
Beat the shit out of him.
I'm sorry?
I threatened to beat the shit out of him when he asked me why we followed Troy out of town.
Well, let me ask you this. What about his cell phone? Will he show you his cell phone?
I doubt it. I bet he won't even talk to me. He won't even come close to me.
How about the sheriff's department there? Will they ask for his cell phone?
They're not here.
There's no local police in town?
Oh. No. Not at all.
If the police contacted me right now, I could tell them that I have a tip that he was talking lewd to a minor 2 years ago. That's within the statute of limitations. We've got him 5 ways on Sunday.
So why don't we have the police call you and you tell them you have a tip?
I've got 10 tips. They won't get on the phone with me because somebody from the family told them not to deal with a private investigator anymore.
Are you talking about Elko or Box Elder?
All of them. All of them. I've spoken with all of them. In fact, the call that I got from the only one that ever called me was a sheriff's officer in Elko, and he was pissed. And his exact words were, you're telling the family that these two missing boys are connected, Aiden and Dylan. And I says, no, I didn't. I said there's similarities, not that they're connected. There's also a guy for the Department of Transportation who says that he saw that boy Aiden on the side of the road. As soon as I try, now his wife I've spoken to 15 times. But his shoes were off. See, there's something to do with it. There's too many similarities amongst these people that are missing.
Hey, I'm going to stop you right
there. Hey, pause this real quick.
If you actually followed that case of what was going on, they tracked him with his shoes on.
Did he say he actually talked to Aiden's wife and his shoes were off? Aiden didn't have a wife, from that I'm aware of. Did he?
Yeah.
Aiden June didn't have a wife.
Right. This is where it gets crazy. And that's why I think she jumps in here, because I think they were letting him talk because they were recording it on purpose, because they had known happening. So they were letting him talk. But I think at this point she jumps in and kind of they start to debunk what he's saying. That's what she's about to do. And that's when he gets really angry. Because so far they've been letting him talk. I mean, he's been talking straight for like 20 minutes here about Vietnam and no shoes and like an old man with head sores who has women tied.
I wonder why police won't talk to MG.
Yeah. So here's where it gets crazy.
My mind is blown right now, you guys.
That girl that is this guy sober? Do we know? Voices? Is he sober? Is he sober? Like,
yeah.
Is he?
Dude, the dude has never had a drink in his life.
Oh, okay.
He will, right. Like, his body is his temple.
Okay. Oh, okay.
All right. With his shoes on, he kept taking them off, and then they would see where he sat down in the dirt, and he put them back on. There's no similarity with him taking off his shoes and putting them back on. He would come to a road, he would take them off and cross the road, and he would sit down and put them back on. There's no similarity.
So you're the one that's been talking to his mom about me?
No, I haven't talked to his mom anything about you.
Have you spoken to his mom?
Yeah, I spoke to her mom, but it had nothing to do with you.
His mom is full of shit. First of all, she just got out of a mental facility the last 4 days. Just got off the phone with her.
Hang on. We're going to go back to the subject. Either we have information, you get us these people's number, we reach out to them, or the conversation's over, because we can talk circles for hours. We've been doing that for 2 weeks. We need to
You know, ma'am, the only one that's been talking in circles is you. You're the only one that's been talking in circles. You're right around to where you started. I'm telling you to go look at the cell phone and to look at that guy's arm, and you guys are doing podcasts.
You said you had people's information. Give it
I
to
looked at his arm and I told the sheriff to look at his arm.
Did you take a picture of his arm,
The
Justin?
day before no, I didn't.
Why not?
Because I was recording what he was saying to me, I think.
Are these people scaring you guys? Are they that scary out there? Are you afraid to I mean, I don't think Justin is, but everybody else in that town seems to be terrified of these folks.
Justin, did you see scratches when you looked at his arm?
Yes, I did, and I told him.
Okay, there you go. That's your son's fucking fingernails. I mean, Jesus Christ, guys. I mean, where else did he get them from?
Do not
What
tell us
the
that is our
fuck?
son's fingernails because
It's your son's fingernails, man. You need to get your head out of your ass.
I am done with this.
That
I am
is
done with
not
Go back to your fucking
okay.
podcast, then.
Let me call him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, and I don't think that was all the call, was it?
That was the end of it, but we started at the 19-minute mark.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's still okay. You want to start at the beginning? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's bad. He starts it off bad, but do you see how he? That's how he started off talking like this is. That's awful.
I've never heard him talk like that before. I'm super embarrassed. I should probably get down, you guys.
Well, that's up to you. You're fine being up here, but that's up to you. I mean,
I'm super embarrassed.
Yeah, the shit he said last night was awful. I mean, was you here for that?
Yeah, I listened to his response this morning because, like I said, he called me this morning and told me I needed to hear what his attorneys had to say. And I'm of a mind that when you're working with the families of missing people and they have to involve an attorney or an attorney has to get involved, I'm of the mind that you've damaged the case and you should lose your ability to talk on it. You should lose that should become a no-fly zone in my world. When I've had moms that have said, listen, I feel like we've exhausted everything. Just please don't forget my son. Just keep mentioning his name. And to hear James talk to a family like that, like, where was his compassion training? Where is his empathy? Where is his relatability? All he did was talk at that family in a time when they're not breathing and waking up hurts. Their minds aren't clear enough. And now he's telling them some cock and bull story
Well, not the thing is, he's like, I talked to my family, I talked to my friends, and I can't believe he's never acted like this in front of you before. If you've known him that long, that's what the other comment just said that too. Somebody in here just said that, like, if I can't believe he's just now acting like that. He's never acted like this before, ever, in another case that you've been aware of, ever.
Not that I've been involved in. No. I mean, it may have been in other cases where I wasn't involved, but I mean, he knows that if he's going to help me on a case that I found or has been brought to me or I've been brought in on and I have some questions, and so I'll use him to do a little digging, he knows that there are, like, I hold him to a high standard. This is what I do out here professionally. So I'm seeing a different side of somebody that
she's really been showing his ass, that's for sure.
But you have to understand, I don't tolerate that kind of stuff because these cases, these people are having a hard enough time just dealing with life. I mean, to wake up every day and know that you're.
That's what I was wondering, if when he came on your channel, were you gonna allow him to bash the mom and
no, he knows.
If he started, I would hope that you would be cutting him off and making him get down or whatever. You know what I mean?
He would have been removed. Like, I don't allow I'm the only person that gets to pick on people on my channel. So
yeah, I mean, he's being nasty and hateful though. He's like saying jabs like that's your son's fingernails for Jesus Christ. I mean, the nasty ass shit he was saying and implying, just oh my god, it's awful. It's awful.
Yes, I am in full agreement. That is awful. There was no reason to say something like that to a parent when you don't know that that's actually like. Law enforcement wouldn't even say something like that to a family, and they have the right to say something like that to a family. Law enforcement understands compassion and empathy when it comes to dealing with families in these situations. This man needs to go
they
take
wouldn't
an
just
ethics
scream at a
course.
family member that their suspect had, scratches on their arm and that they were from their son and that's their son's DNA underneath his neck. They wouldn't even go into all that. They would just say we found evidence that, you know what I'm saying? Like they're way more professional. This man is a piece of shit.
I said, any of the cases that I have either had to have him, that I've had him help on, or that we've worked on together in the past, I have a specific set of standards and ethics and rules that are followed, and they have to be followed to the T. So no, I would not.
That he didn't get a chance to get up on your panel. No,
he wouldn't have been allowed to say like and act any of the way like. No, that would not have happened. It would have ended. He would have been removed from the stream because, like, this is the one thing that is a no-go in my world. I can be vile and nasty everywhere else.
I was kind of happy Laura called his ass out and he kept being disrespectful, calling her Lauren. I'm like, don't be doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? Acting dumb as hell. I was glad that
heard that.
Called him out. She's like, you're on bullshit. You're like this. You're full of shit.
I got sent a clip where he said that I text him in the middle of all of that. And no, like, I wouldn't bother him on somebody's. Yep, that was exactly what that was.
Yeah, hang on, let me.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Is this for the start of the call?
One moment.
By the way, do you know the name of the sheriff of Elko County?
It's weird name.
It sounds like a Mexican guy.
Yeah.
Garbanza,
Yeah.
Or something.
Yep. Okay.
Ever spoken to him?
No, hang on one second. I'm patching Katie.
Starting at the beginning, right? Are you starting at the beginning?
Baby, you're a perfect 10. I wanna get in. Can I get down so I...
You've reached Katie Wells. Leave me a message and I will get... Hang on, she didn't answer.
Yeah, I can't get a hold of anybody in the family this morning.
I think everybody kind of, well, my husband's here, so he can help me keep it all straight.
Okay, so here's what happened. And you'll see the bits and pieces of all these stories kind of mix in. So the gun, the pressure wash truck, the gate, it all comes together. So here's what's gone on. There's a sheriff's name. Let me get his name before I start.
I know that, yeah, the Elko sheriff. I looked him up yesterday.
Okay, well, he knows all about this. So, and by the way, Blower has still never called me back to talk to me. Now, he's spoken with other people. He won't call me back. So, guys, so here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Guy calls me last night. He's a real estate agent in town. I get a lot of goofy calls from crackheads and drug addicts and looky-loos. So here's what happens. This guy calls me last night. He says, listen, I don't know what it's going to help, but I want to help this family.
I feel like
he says, a lot of money. He goes, I have infrared goggles. I have night vision this. I have better stuff than the military has, and we use it for hunting out at night in those desert areas. He says, I want to donate it to the family. So I put him in contact with your ex-husband. Tens of thousands of dollars worth of military equipment. The shit's unreal, almost like the Predator. So you can see people at night running around from miles up in the helicopter. And I said, well, who the fuck is running around in that desert at night between, 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning? Who the hell would do that? He didn't know, but it makes sense now. So he says what happened was him and his son and this group that they belonged into a hunting club, would go out to those areas, all the areas where the boots have been found and where they found that one body and all those different areas to hunt coyotes. It's a hunting club. Mm-hmm. It's a competition. They stopped doing it in the last couple of months because they were getting accosted by people in the desert. He would take his sons hunting. His kids are only like teenagers or younger. And they would go out there. He says, we used to sleep under the stars in the back of the pickup truck. He goes, we against the mountain. We can't even do that anymore. He says, a couple of months ago, we were in the desert. Your ex-husband heard the story. And he says, we were doing our hunting. And in the middle of nowhere, a guy comes up to our truck. And he says, we were miles away from anywhere. And it's 3 a.m. And he says, we have lights and guns and food and water and everything. And this guy comes out of nowhere behind a rock. He says, he scares the shit out of us. And he kept trying to get into our truck. He says, so what we did was we drive 100 yards, turn around, put our lights on him, and he would come after us. He said it was like the Terminator. And he says, finally, we got far enough away from the guy, put our spotlight on him, and he stopped and he started talking to us. And we said, how long have you been out here? Do you need help? And he says, I've been out here for almost 3 months. What are you doing out here? So they kind of get into an argument, and he threatens to kill the family right then and there. But then he tells the family, and they says, we're going to call the cops. We'll get you help out here, because they said there's no way he could have walked anywhere. He died. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't take the help, and he kept trying to get into the back of the truck. Didn't seem like much at the time, okay? But this guy was armed out there. So it didn't seem to mean much at the time, but he kept chasing his family.
Sounds like an outlandish story already.
So because the kids were so fucking freaked out about this, his children and his wife was with them too. I guess she hunts. These people are all rednecks that they never went back. So he starts hearing about this story, the helicopters and everything. And he calls me, he tells me all this. Guy calls me this morning, and he is very good friends with Kirk's sister. There's one sister in Kirk's family that's estranged from all of them. She's a black sheep. She actually just recently got married to a Vietnam veteran, so she must be a little bit older. And she has a little bit of a drinking problem, but she does not associate with the family. He knows her very well because this guy that called me this morning, which is a totally different guy than last night, owns a lot of cattle ranchers and property out there. He's a somebody, okay? So basically the reason he called me is some of his ranch hands and some of the people that he's been dealing with, he starts telling me a story about being out in the desert in the middle of the night and people confronting them. So he goes on to tell me that Kirk and Kirk's brother, the pedophile, possibly Kirk's son, and some other little people, as well as your son, as well as Dylan, are in a militia group. What they were doing at night is they were getting in their trucks and patrolling the areas with firearms to catch thieves. I think this is why the other boy that's missing out there, who almost looks like your son, is dead. I think they got him. I think that's why he's missing.
So you're saying Dylan was in a militia group?
Well, I'm using the word militia, club, vigilantes. The sheriff there calls them a vigilante group. I call them a militia group, vigilantes. Let's just say that.
Okay.
So basically what happened was the reason your son wasn't coming back to his
So this is where the vigilante rumor got started. This is where the vigilante rumor got started. This is where it came into play at. So the rumors that are going around.
The truck wasn't there. The truck comes back licked clean, okay? The boots are in a different area, which I don't believe the blood on that boots is your son's. What this guy told me is they were out in the desert patrolling. The sheriff was made aware of this by a lot of people. The guy that called me last night was accosted by one of the guys in this group. The guy on the desert wasn't homeless. He was protecting his section and looking for people out in the middle of the desert. They were dropping people off. So let's say me, you, your husband on the phone right now, 10 of our buddies are all out there. We're going to catch these people, which is why they hate Chase so much, which is because Chase was robbing these people. They were trying to catch Chase. And where does Chase end up? Where did your son pick Chase up?
On Tacoma Road.
What time of the day was that?
In the morning.
And Chase was out there in the middle of nowhere, right?
I mean, he was close to town.
Right. So your son caught him. He caught him.
Well, he did.
And he got him the fuck out of there because he knew they were going to kill him.
Okay.
That group was going to kill him. Your son did him a favor and got him the fuck out of town. Chase has left that out of this. Why are these people all running around in the middle of the desert with no food, no water in the middle of the night if it's not to run?
Right there is you can tell this is a big ass line of shit. Because he had the way he's just saying, just the way he's talking, she's like, wait a minute. He didn't catch him. He seen him walking down the road. And Jim's like, no, he caught him and got him the fuck out of there. He caught him. I know, he did him a favor. He's trying to keep him alive. Like, he's just trying to, like, it's almost
he
like
makes
it's
a lot of assumptions.
Yes. Oh, yes. A lot.
And listen, I can see in the chat that they're talking about him being on MGL's panel. That was because MGL wanted him on. That was at the time of the Michaela Nelson case.
Oh, okay.
I have no control over how MGL runs her panel.
Well, no, I mean, I know that.
And that was the moment that if he's on my panel, after seeing and hearing how he spoke of her and that situation, you can't speak like that. You notice MGL booted him off, apologized, and I then got off and chewed Jim's ass and said, you can't talk on YouTube like that. You cannot talk on YouTube like that. Not in the world of the missing people. You're doing drama, that's something totally different. But in this, people come for this information. I can't control MGL's panel. And at that time, I was only a panel guest that got her in connection with the PI. So.
Well, either way, he's showing his true colors. Here, you can roll the rest
what
of it.
happened was Chase got stuck and your son got out of there. It's basically what happened. Before the rest of the guys, your son had a section of land that he was looking for because he had a truck. Everybody's got a section. The guys aren't all in one truck together. They're able to communicate, move around, and do all this whole area and kind of police it for theft. I don't know if your son ever had any theft on his property, but it seems like everybody else that I've talked to has. It's been wild out there. People are stealing left and right from each other. So I think that's where he comes upon Chase. And he gets Chase the fuck out of there. The reason he didn't tell you he got him in the car and everything is because you probably didn't know that this section of it existed. So what happened was, it's hard to make sense, but it kind of makes sense that these people are all out there patrolling at night. There's a school teacher at a local school there that called the sheriff and knew about this. Now, she's a math teacher. And she basically called the sheriff, and people started making the sheriff aware, not because they didn't like these guys, but there's people out in the middle of the desert hunting. There's people out in the middle of the desert doing work. Maybe they got property. Maybe they're camping. And they got these fucking loons who, by the way, are all liquored up. They're all drunk.
I took the liberty of washing your sex toy. By the way, this is very small. It could totally.
Yeah. Okay. So they're all liquored up. Okay.
People finding beer cans and alcohol out there, watermelon, soda. That's why you're finding this shit out there. It wasn't planted out there. They were always out there fucking looking for people stealing. That stuff was out there not because it was placed in rubber. It probably was out there because it was one of the areas your son was patrolling with these fucking morons. So what happens is, the good people are out there, like the real estate agent the night before, the guy that I talked to this morning, and now they're fucking afraid to go out. Like the kids can't go four-wheeling when it gets dark because Kirk's got this band of fucking goons with your son out there. So what happens is they're out there. Something happens and your son gets shot. It was an accidental discharge. It was, a gun went off. I don't think it was a lover's quarrel. I don't think it was a fight, but that kid got shot out there. Either somebody else shot him that they were chasing, or he was accidentally shot by somebody in the bed of his truck. They bring the truck back. They pressure wash it. So nobody really knows when he went missing. I got people saying they saw him before and then he went missing way before. So you really don't know. There's no last minute where he was seen. He walked out of the house at 5:30, but he died out there. And what they did was they hid his body not far from where another. So there's people they're finding dead. The 41-year-old guy was found dead, and they think he's been out there since January, right?
Mm-hmm.
How'd he die?
He died from the elements.
Okay. So there's also a bunch of other people that are being held up at gunpoint and people being shot out there in the middle of the night. So what they did was they came back. So the family goes to the trailer. Where's the gun? They bring the gun back.
Making up
so
whole lies.
Bring a couple of things back to the house. So basically what they did was they tried to cover it up the best that they could. And it all has to do with this militia group that is out there. Now, was Kurt and him in a relationship to some sort of a degree? What I was told,
I'm having a really hard time not saying something.
Psychologist, and I think I said that right, maybe psychiatrist, I don't know. But he looks into this stuff with these kids. There's also a shitload of other people that have gone missing out there. So were they caught by these guys, by your son's, I don't want to say your son's little group, but by this vigilante group? I don't know. But there's another boy who looks just like your son. You've been in contact with his mother. Called me. I've been dealing with her. And I looked into her case, and he went missing about 5 months ago, right around the length of time that the 41-year-old guy in the desert that died of elements went missing and died.
He went missing.
It all starts to add up. These people are all thieves.
James, he went missing 5 weeks ago, not 5 months ago.
Excuse me, 5 weeks. So I apologize. The other guy went missing in January, about 5 months ago, right? So if you look at this time frame, this has been going on for a while now.
Well, hold on, let me. I got what you're saying. Just let me tell you something. There's supposedly 2 other teenagers that went missing out there sometime in February that I cannot find any information on. Nobody will give me any information on these 2 teenagers. I can't find nothing.
The only cop you need to talk to, the only person you need to talk to is the one that will back this story up, which is the sheriff. The sheriff of Elko County. He's never mentioned this to you, that this is what they were doing late at night?
I've talked to the sheriff.
Right. Well, he was in charge of this investigation about the vigilante group.
Well, see if you can. I got a meeting with Elko today. See if you can find out anything on those other 2 teenagers that went. Well, they're late teens. I think one was 18 and one was 20, almost 20. But I can't find anything on them. And we had a local lady tell us, they went missing in February, and it's just been swept under the rug. There's got to be some sort of information on them somewhere. There has to be. I just can't find anything.
So, were you ever told about this militia group before? About this vigilante group?
No.
Okay. Kirk's daughter called me this morning, and we got into it pretty nasty. And I told her, I said, "Well, then have your." She said that her father never came out of the trailer and said what your ex-husband said. She said that's total bullshit. And I told your ex-husband that, and he about went through the fucking roof because I think he's home now. And she said he came out of the trailer and basically just reiterated what a psychic had told the family in Wisconsin or something. And I said, so if one knows about it, they all know about it. So they're all hiding it. So something happened with that militia group. They never mentioned the militia group, and they never mentioned the gay thing. So those 2 things have been hid from the cops and were never mentioned to the cops until we kind of started pushing on that. So I'm telling you, those are the only 2 things to focus on here. Other missing kids in the desert and boots and watermelon rinds and all that bullshit is all great. You're never going to get anywhere with that. This all comes back to one human being and one guy. And it all comes back to Kirk. And the questions that he needs to admit is about the vigilante group that was out there patrolling. And when they went out there, and when I told his sisters, I said, okay, you want to clear your brother? He's not gay. He's not a murderer. He didn't have any ill will. Have him turn over his cell phone to the family. And that's when she hung up on me.
Okay.
So the only thing to focus on is that sheriff in Elko County. Ask him about the militia group. And that would make sense as to why they brought your son's truck back and pressure washed it. Now, where was it pressure washed? I don't know. But that would go along with what you said. If you see, you can kind of see the elements of this that all equal his disappearance.
Right.
Maybe he was winged out there and not killed. And they kind of, shit, what do we do? I don't know, but I'm telling you, it all goes through with him because his sister told me that he headed up your missing persons investigation. He was out there looking for him the most, and it's all a lie.
Who was out there? Who headed it?
Kirk.
Oh no, he came out one day was all.
Right. That's not what the family says. They said that the brother's not a registered sex offender, and he is in Idaho. They said so they're all liars, and I think that they were fucking around out there, and basically what these other people have said who aren't associated with the family is what I'm trying to relate to you.
Right. Okay.
And the fact that the police did not tell you that your son was in the truck with those guys over the last 6 months and doing that with them as part of an evening out. Which might be the reason he was staying in some of those things because they would use that as a base camp and go from there and come back from there is a disservice to your family because at worst case scenario, it's what they never told you. It should have been mentioned to you.
Okay. Okay, well, I will. Like, I'm going to call. Katie actually tried to patch in, so I'm going to call and talk to her, and then I got to call Elko County anyway, so I'll talk to the sheriff.
When you talk to the sheriff, have me on the phone with you so I can go over this with him. Because if you talk to him, he's going to glaze over it. I just know too much about these people at this point not to talk. I've still never talked to the detective that interviewed Kirk. And he's talked to 10 other people that called me. He won't talk to me. That's interesting to me. I don't know why that is.
Okay. Okay, well, I will call. I'm going to reach out to the detective now. I'll reach out to Katie, and then I'll look back around to you.
All right, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Fucking serious.
I know, that's why I wanted you to talk.
Well, that's why I was trying to get him on these other 2 kids that were missing that don't exist. But here's the thing. I got to call JR and get him in for this. Here's the thing. I pushed him last and oops.
Ruby, is there anything that you want to tell me? Like maybe.
Talking to him, but I need you to say. Just say what he's gonna say. I can't imagine.
Okay, I got all 3 of you?
Yep.
I'll call the PI.
Okay, now I'm gonna add the PI, so hang on.
All right, this is where he comes in, and ain't this the call? We already played this part, didn't we?
Okay, so then this is them calling him back after what? They called the detective? And that was the first part you played, correct?
Yeah, the first part I played was the 19 minutes. Wow. And that was him speaking with Candace, Dylan's mom, Katie, who sent the money, which was Justin's sister, right. Dylan's aunt. And then she was speaking about her parents and that he had spoke with them. He's like, let's address the elephant in the room. Why aren't you guys talking to me anymore? Why aren't you working with me anymore? What's going on? And she's like, well, Candace is going a different direction and I'm going to work with her. And I think I stand for myself when I say I want nothing to do with, what you have going on. I'm going to, support Candace. So the narrative he's running with that they hate each other and that there's all those differences and there's stuff going on, that's not true. That's not true at all.
Sounds like he's trying to cause division within the family. And that's not. Wow. One of the things I want people to notice, one of the things, what I noticed through that call was he kept saying, I talk to. So that's showing that everything he's doing is on the phone. And face it, anybody can say anything to you on the phone. There's way less
this was him after he got the cease and desist letter. This is him on Doug's no thanks. This is his channel. I need to go link it in the chat.
That's what he called me to have me listen to this morning.
Yeah, so that's it. And then that's when he responded after he said, first he came on like this, and then he said that he didn't get a cease and desist. He has no idea because he didn't see it, but he's going to respond to it. And he tells them, basically, he makes those pictures out that say, fuck you on the pictures. And that's what that was his response, was that little 2-minute word salad of bullshit he spewed. And then basically told him to fuck off, that he's not going to listen to him. He's going to keep talking about their son. He's going to keep dragging them. He's going to keep treating them like shit and, talking horrible things, saying malicious things. And
I guess he'll, I always say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And I guess he's going to find out. But
in that article yesterday that came out about how he had been served with the cease and desist, he basically was quoted as saying, I just want the reward now. Like he's like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get the reward money.
I'm pretty sure once you're given a cease and desist, that disqualifies you from reward funds.
Well, I wonder if it does.
I mean, he's not going to solve it anyway, right? But I think that's just the point that he has zero empathy, like to a whole other level, right? Like I don't think he has it.
Well, he's now taken it and he's gone to the opposite extreme of, if you're not going to work with me, then I'm going to destroy you and nobody's going to work with you. And that's like, he's crossed the line. And then he started profiting on it because he's now running a PayPal. And then I sat and I watched the dollars just roll in. And that was also his excuse for standing me up, was that, well, I couldn't get off there. Did you see all that money that was rolling in? This isn't about the money, dude. Some of us do this because I said, you had a very strong support group on my channel that you left waiting. And now I'm kind of glad he did. So whatever. But
yeah, we don't support him over here whatsoever. We do not support him over here at all whatsoever.
I think that anybody, I mean, he offered to come on and give my audience an apology. And I said, Jim, they don't want it. My audience has decided that they don't want you around. What the fuck have you done? Like, I've got a real life. I don't always follow everything that goes on YouTube. So I had a lot of this. I didn't have any idea. I had to go back and listen to Doug's stream this morning. And then I'm like, whoa, what the hell are these two doing out here? And then I find out they're going to do a YouTube channel together. This just turned into exploitation. This is exploitation of missing persons cases. It's such a fine line out here, and he's now crossed it. Well, buckle up, James. We fought in the past, so I hope you remember, like, 2010. We're going back there again, dude.
Well, and it's really sad for his mom. I mean, this kid, you know, Candace already has enough going on and enough to deal with as it is. Now she has to fight somebody like that on social media while searching for her missing son.
And you have no idea how much of what he's done has caused is negative, untoward. What if he actually did uncover something, but now it's not going to be admissible because it could be considered tainted evidence, fruit of the poisonous tree. And now, like, should it come to the actual judicial time for the judicial system. Hold on, let me go inside. That truck is so loud, it vibrates my windows. Now that it comes time for actual prosecution of the potential crime, prosecution could be hindered or deferred. It could be lost, and there may not be able to get justice for Dylan's family, and that's the ultimate betrayal anybody can do to one of these cases. So, like, I appreciate everything that you guys have shown me today. Ask Your Bartender. I'm super grateful for you. I'm sorry that we got off on a really rough foot. I appreciate you coming up and showing me what you've shown me. I appreciate your compassion and your empathy. I now am better aware.
Oh, you're talking to you're not talking to AYB up here. That was somebody else, but that's okay. It's okay.
Well, I just saw the A up there, so I just
that's okay. I was gonna say AYB's not in here. I just wanted to make sure I corrected you so that people didn't get confused. But yeah, that was somebody else. But
I apologize.
No, she was on my part. She wanted to make sure that we she wanted to just make everyone aware too as well of what kind of person he really is, because he's shown his ass on here, but there's still a lot more that he's not telling, that there's a lot more.
Well, I appreciate this today, Queen. I really do. I know that we don't always get to teach the important lessons to one another, but I'm grateful for you guys today. I really am.
Well, yeah, and I appreciate you coming up here and, giving us a chance to talk to you and not being angry and, coming with an open mind, because it's when you work with somebody like that and them, you don't see it right away. But now,
sometimes in this, we also will tend to be like, well, you got to do what you got to do to get business done too, and so.
Well, yeah. And at first I'm like, that's I understand, you gotta, maybe this is his way of getting attention on Dylan's case. But when I heard that call and he immediately started, dragging Candace and the mother of the family and saying all these horrible things, I'm like, oh no. Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people, he's shown his ass. I mean, he definitely has.
Well, I appreciate you. I'm going to go get my stuff ready for the Price is Wrong and see what the grand total
Well,
of the
you have
makeup
a good
sale
day,
is.
girl. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you, Queen. I appreciate you.
it. Have a good
Have
day.
a great one.
Yeah, he definitely was showing his ass. That's for sure. And I hope for, you know, Candace's sake and the family's sake that he, you know, stops with the bullshit. I guess that's all we can hope, but I mean, it's hard not to watch a train wreck, you know what I mean? It's hard to look away when you see it going on. Anybody else want to come up and chat? Anybody else got anything to say? Anybody else want to chit chat? If not, I'm going to end it here soon. I don't know. I mean, we've made our point pretty clear, I think. He's not what he portrays himself to be, that's for sure. And it's almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing, you know? And yes, it was a very good live. And I hope that, you know, he stops harassing this family because, you know, there's several others who, if you look just a little bit deeper, they're there. They're out there. There's a lot of people that he's done a lot of things to. And a lot of cases that he's gotten involved in that he's done things that are not okay. He's, you know, really hurt a lot of families and a lot of people. Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of karma coming his way. And sadly, you know, hopefully he stops his shit. But I just don't see that happening. I really just don't see that happening. For the sake of Dylan and Candace, though, let's just hope he realizes the harm he's doing, you know, and cuts it out. That's all. Anyways, y'all have a good day. And if I don't see you before, happy 4th. I hope everybody has an amazing week. I will see y'all later. Have a good day, guys.